So this is going to be a part 2. It looks like Monique's son has again made another response video on TikTok. But first, let's look at the video of Monique explaining that yes, she was more interested in fame than being a mother in the beginning.
And I have a son that will be 30 years old this year, right? And there was a time that when he was a little boy, I wasn't interested in being a mother. I was interested in being a star. And I was interested in being famous. And I wasn't interested in being a wife. I was interested in taking pictures and red carpets and signing autographs and traveling the world. So I didn't really put the focus in. And now that I'm 52 and he'll be 30, well, I pay for that. There's a price you have to pay for that. And I had to apologize to my son because I said to him, I don't want you to think that your story is not valid because I didn't tuck you in. I didn't read you those stories. I didn't show up at sporting events because my whole thing was, yeah, but whatever you ask for, I can provide it. You see this big house? You see that basketball court out back? You see that pool? Don't you come complaining to me about nothing because I gotta go. And when I did come home, now I'm tired. So now you don't understand that? So there was a time that this entertainment was the priority.
So in the second video I'm about to play for you guys, Monique's son says about the whole car situation that she offered to give him money for a down payment on the car that he never asked. He also said this is going to be the last video that he makes. I think this is kind of like a therapy for him just to express how he's feeling.
All right, so I'm just going to get straight to it. Hi, I'm Shalon. So I find it unique that my video was in response to my mother and not her husband, but yet he still had the most to say, which isn't uncommon. I also find it unfortunate that my mother does not seem to speak on her own. The only two worlds that I know where daddy is used is for children speaking with their fathers and women acknowledging their pimps. Her husband starts off by literally doing the very thing that I said that they would do, which honestly kind of made me feel as though their response was ironic because they validate my original video. Either A, she has some newfound moment of clarity, or B, she retreats back to daddy. In her retreat back to him, though, he does not acknowledge what I did say, but instead begins to create a new narrative of things that I did not say, which negates the effects of a response video. The two of you essentially created a new video rather than actually respond to what was actually said. You also brought up my father. My father, though, is not doing interviews talking about me. In quick regards to the three sons comment, under the context in which your husband was speaking, by your rationale, Ma, he should have easily had no problem saying 4 sons, especially since you say he knew me before I knew me. The two of you can sometimes come off as seekers of weak levels of empathy from others while at the same time sidestepping any accountability that one may need to take. To attempt to address what I said to another man while also trying to make your wife victim number 1 has nothing to do with you. My father did not need you to speak for him. You're her daddy, not his. My mother has been speaking on our relationship for years, so to imply that only one side of a story was told when there are several articles and interviews throughout the internet discussing my strained relationship with her, filled with quotes from your wife speaking directly about me, while also providing vague context and downplaying the impact of an uninterested mother. I am 33 years old and have had ample opportunity to go to the media and tell some BS story for a BS amount of money, but instead I am on TikTok expressing my feelings for free. If the two of them were paying attention, I literally explained in my first video why I am responding using TikTok. And I should not have to repeat myself. My mother also states there are some people that are saying, oh, you should be ashamed of your mothering skills. You should be ashamed of yourself. This is what I say. Let's let it play out. Because the same ones that were saying, oh, I was crazy, I was deranged, we watched it play out. So just like with my son, we're going to watch this play out. First of all, who the hell is we if it ain't you and I reconciling our relationship? Second of all, it's power in a word. Nobody is playing, but I can understand why you would use that word specifically. As you stated in the Club Shay Shay interview, you had the mentality of a 15-year-old child. You required a man to raise you, and you were acting like a little girl. These are your words. It doesn't matter what context I have them in. This is how you thought of yourself as a grown adult who was someone's mother. Last time I checked, Monique fans, a 15-year-old grown adult who acts like a child but is in search of their daddy, they don't typically make efficient parents. But hey, I could be wrong. On a more serious note, to sit there and allow your daddy to address my mental health in a weak attempt to pass my response off as a moment is disturbing and insulting to those of us who do have mental health issues. The way I presented myself was no different than my mother and her daddy presented themselves when addressing D.L. Hughley. And her precious sweet babies ate it up. DL is wrong because he's so loud. Mo and Daddy are right because they're so calm. But I, for some reason, don't get the same energy. To simply try to call me crazy is dismissive and cowardice. Attacking somebody's mental status is a clear sign that you have zero to stand on. Furthermore, what kind of person still has a text message from their wife's son that is over 2 years old, still in their phone, saved just for the purpose of re-showing it to him? What I specifically remember about that message is that at the end of it, you said something along the lines of, if you don't respond, I understand. I could care less about what your message was about, but for you to say in the message, if you don't respond, I understand, why was it then that when you and I did speak, after that message was sent, the first question out of your mouth is, hey man, how come you didn't respond to my text message? I found that to be very unique, but I did not need an explanation on how to speak to women or how to listen to women. That was not what that situation was about. My mother showed me how conceited she is in that situation that you were referring to. For a woman to villainize the actions of her son for being a man and a father to his new family simply because she had not heard from him in 2 days, as though her phone was broken and she could not check on me. Because last time I checked, I was a new parent. I didn't get a new house. I didn't go on vacation. I didn't just get a new game system. I had a baby. And in those 2 days that you did not hear from me, I was handling my business as a man and a father. But I'll assume your phone and the phones of those around you were all broken, which I wanted to believe was the reason why you did not respond to a message from your son expressing his concern over some bumps that your grandchild had on her back. You would later make it your business to tell me that you got the message and chose not to respond because her other grandmother is a nurse. Damn the fact that she is also your blood. And shout out to Nana. My baby girl loves her some Nana. The statement about money and then stating, don't let nobody introduce me to you, is not a competent statement to make because it wasn't a complete sentence, nor did the two things correlate with each other. And when did you have the time to introduce yourself to a son that you weren't interested in and didn't do the best job you could do? I'm starting to think that you're not hearing yourself. To address money, you gave me $10,000 for a down payment on a car. Yes, thank you again. Thank you. My girlfriend and I were already prepared to put our money together and get a car. You and your husband called us one day and stated that y'all were going to give us $5,000 for a down payment. We said, okay. You then called us back a day or two later and stated that you would be giving us $10,000 for a down payment on the car. You and him made the conscious choice to give us that money. We did not ask you for anything, but this is an example of a rich person doing something for you. And because this is, an example of a rich person doing something for you because they want to do it for you, but because it doesn't have the desired effect that they want it to have, you are inconsiderate and ungrateful. But let's take it a step further. I eventually would uncover that my mother had left me a UTMA worth $45,000. You never brought that account to my attention. You claim it was because you forgot that you even set it up in the first place, which validates my original point. Who forgets that they invested $45,000 into a child that at that time is the only child? When I was homeless and I called you to help me figure out how to access the account, you said, Shalon, I don't even know what you're talking about, and if I did, why do you think I would help you? After finding out from the Georgia Department of Revenue that they had been sending me mail to 3 separate Georgia addresses, all of which I lived at with you at some point or another. For the life of me, I can't grasp how those letters managed to slip by so many people at 3 different locations. I did, however, eventually get access to the money and the brokerage account that you had set up for me with Morgan Stanley. To be fair, what you put together for me was amazing, especially had I let it sit for a year or two, which made it bittersweet that you wouldn't have wanted to help or even educate me on how to manage what I had. My blowing through that money is all on me. and I have to take my accountability for that, and it's a lesson learned. Sydney stated that the last time that him and I spoke, I wanted to call him Dad. The actual truth is that I wanted to call him Pop. Calling you Uncle Sydney, but my mother calls you Daddy, and the boys call you Daddy. It was getting a little awkward. And yes, for a very short time, I did feel that way about you, but the more things change, the more they stay the same. Oh, Black Jesus. I do just want to really quickly give a really, really big thank you to the support that I've received throughout this. I didn't think that was something that was going to happen. I didn't make that video to have a tennis match with my mother. I do not plan on making any more videos. This is it. I've said what I wanted to say. To me, if you're not going to acknowledge, you've already shown me that you don't care enough to acknowledge what I did say, so I definitely don't have the expectation that you're going to acknowledge now what I'm saying. So it is what it is. But once again, I want to say thank you again, man. That day before I posted that original video, I went to sleep with 25 followers that I probably could name all. I could probably name all 25 of those people. I think I have over like 12,000 followers now. That's really cool, man. I really appreciate that. But I just can't say thank you enough. I know I sound like a broken record. But I do appreciate the love, and best of luck to my mother and Sydney. And I hope that the Cat Williams tour is incredible. I really, really do. But when it comes to me, I am going to enjoy being a dad and being a man and just going through life, man. I don't want to be famous or notorious for being someone's neglected kid. I don't want that to be my story. And I only said what I said just to provide context, not to become anything. But y'all be safe, man. Peace.
I just think the two of them, just Monique and her son, need to sit down and have a conversation without Sydney being involved. Maybe, possibly that could happen, or maybe they tried. Who knows?